Our next guest is the author of 5 books in the August Riordan Private Eye series. His books have won numerous awards and have been described as smart, stylish, sexy, gritty, seamy, very, very funny, and reminiscent of the golden age of detective novels. Now Mark Coggins is breaking the mold with his new book, Prom Night and Other Man-Made Disasters, a collection of humorous essays about his life. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Well, I've got to say, I don't LOL for very many books, but you had me laughing out loud several times.
That's great.
I really loved it. What chose you, how did you decide to veer away from fiction to nonfiction?
Well, that's a good question. It turns out my wife doesn't really like fiction very much, and she reads people like Chelsea Handler, David Sedaris, Bill Bryson, and she loves those books, and she kept trying to get me to write something like that. And I thought it would be easy, but it actually turned out to be quite hard. You have to sort of really be willing to open up your life and sort of share a lot of things you wouldn't normally want to share.
I think it's very courageous of you because,
yes.
You know, when you're writing fiction, you can make these protagonists very heroic, and if they have flaws, it's fine because they're fictional, but you really showed a lot of yourself in these stories.
I did, and I actually was most worried about how my wife would react to some of them because a lot of the stories happened before she met me, and I don't think she quite knew all of the...
A lot of women in
A lot
these,
of baggage.
A lot of baggage. How was she? Was she cool with it?
She was fine. She said, yeah, it's good, it's juicy, that's what you need.
She's going, what did I get myself into,
Exactly.
talking you into this? So how did you remember all these stories? Were you keeping a journal, or?
You know, I didn't remember the dialogue, obviously, and so the dialogue is recreated. And but some of the incidents were just burned on my memory, and so there wasn't. I didn't really have any trouble remembering. But you know, sometimes you don't remember them exactly right. Like the first essay actually talks about how I misremembered something for years and years and years, and then actually went back and learned how it was wrong. So, you know, memory's a funny thing. All I can say is it's my memory of the events, and you know, I hope it makes an interesting story.
Your memoir, it really was. What are a couple of your favorite stories in the book?
Well, I think all of them are, you know, embarrassing to some extent. But in terms of being favorite, one of them I think is sort of fun. Is it's called Confessions of an Email Forger, and the setup on that one was I was working for a large company as a computer programmer, and the software I was writing was an order processing system, and I'd integrated it to the company email system. And part of doing that work gave me the ability to send emails from anybody in the company to anyone else. And I abused that capability by sending emails to women who I wanted to go out with. And so I chose, for instance, to send an email from the company president. And this was a Fortune 500 company. A company president, and I said, you know, you really ought to get to know Mark better because he's one of our best employees, and wouldn't you like to go out and have dinner with him? And then at the end I admitted that it was really for me. And that worked great because she was also in the software part of the business and understood, you know, what had happened. And she came by 5 minutes later, slapped the email down on my desk, and she said, okay, well, we're going, but I get to pick the restaurant. But then I tried it again, and it didn't work as well with the next person I tried it on.
This is kind of a theme in your book.
Yes, yes. I keep doing things. It is sort of a theme. I'll do something that seems to work fairly well, perhaps in a dating situation, and then I'll just take it too far, and I push it over the edge, and it turns into a disaster.
It was really funny to read, and sometimes I'm going, I can't believe that happened.
I know.
So, tell me, you started out in Silicon Valley and San Francisco working in technology, but I guess you always wanted to be a writer. How did that happen?
Yeah, I had always wanted to write. I had the opportunity when I was at Stanford to take a couple courses in creative writing, and one was from Tobias Wolff, who was just getting started at that point, so he wasn't well known at all. And then another one was from Ron Hansen, who was also a fairly well-known writer. The third class I took was from this woman named Brett Singer, and that actually forms the basis of one of the essays. I had this big crush on her, and all of the stories I wrote in her class were just thinly veiled romances between her and I. And she never let on that she knew that I was doing that, but later, when I graduated, she'd been working on her first novel, and when I bought it and read it, I found that she'd named a character after me. And what that character is and what he does in the book is part of the fun of the essay.
Had more of an impression on her
yes.
than you thought.
Yes.
So how did you come to write?
Well, so Wolff had made the point that certain writers have very distinctive style. And all of the things I was writing then were really bad, but he read Raymond Chandler, who is one of my heroes now, and I'd never heard of Raymond Chandler up until that point. And so I went and found all of the Chandler books and read all of them, and I found all the Dashiell Hammett books and read all of them, and I said, well, I want to write like they do. So I wrote a short story for actually Ron Hansen's class featuring August Reardon as a character. So I actually created the character when I was 18 years old. And it wasn't that good in the beginning, but I worked on it and rewrote it, and eventually got published as a short story.
And most of your books are based on that character, who's
That's right.
wonderful. So I would encourage all of our viewers out there to check out your fiction and your nonfiction work, and they can go to markcoggins.com to see all of your books and future events. And thanks for being with us today, and thanks, Mark.
Oh, thank you very much.